Welcome, everybody, to the Sleeper Wire Show. This is the third episode of the 2019 fantasy football season, and we have another great show for you guys with another great guest. I'm your host, Professor Chris, and with me today, I have Prophet Hoos. How's it going, man?
Pretty dang good, man. We got Marcus on. I think he's Mr. 5-6 time at this point. We got to get him one of those jackets. The velours. I think he's waiting on one of those. I think we got to send you. We have to send him at this point.
That's right. Pro-Am participant and NFL Media's Marcas Grant back on the Sleeper Wire Show. You can follow him on Twitter at Marcus G. Marcus, how you doing, man? Welcome back to the show.
Fantastic. Oh, it's good to be back, man. It's fantastic. Things are good right now.
It's very nice. Very nice. I heard you just moved into some new digs. How's that?
I did. Things are good. Like we're finally, my girlfriend and I have unpacked most of the boxes, so things are mostly in place. I'm learning that I knew she had a lot of stuff. I think she has 3 times the amount of stuff that I do. Like I'm sort of tucked in corners, and she has just expanded to take over most of the place.
That's how it goes, man.
She's a great packer, basically. You're like, oh, what the heck? She had that girl from what's that Netflix show? The Asian lady,
Tidy Up.
Tidy Up. She had her in there.
I'm gently trying to suggest that we watch a couple of episodes of that show, and she's like, no chance. Because she knows what I'm trying to do. And she's like, no, we're not watching that show.
Say thank you. Say thank you. If it doesn't spark the joy, you gotta say bye-bye.
How's the weather where you guys are?
Oh man,
fantastic. Man, it's like 70 degrees in Los Angeles. It's great.
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous.
Cold. It's like 60 over here.
It is negative 19. Feels like negative 45 with the wind chill up here in Minnesota. It's a little cold. Just chilling, you know?
Literally.
Yeah. Literally. We got the fireplace going, though. I got a hoodie on. We're good.
That's nice.
Yeah. Sucks taking the dogs out, though. One of ours hates the cold. The other one doesn't care how cold it is. As long as there's snow, he's happy. Running around, rolling in the snow, jumping face first into it. Loves it. Negative 20 degrees, still loves the snow.
Awesome.
Yeah, Good luck with that.
All right, guys, you ready to get into the news? We got news and Super Bowl talk today.
Good.
Kicking it off, Ian Rappaport reported that the Steelers still have not given Antonio Brown permission to seek a trade. You know, there's all these rumors coming out of Pittsburgh, and where is he going to go? Where do you think he should go? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to ask you the same question, Marcus. Where do you think he should go? Where would you like to see him? Let me put it that way.
Well, as somebody who grew up in the Bay Area and follows the 49ers, I would love for him to come to the 49ers. With Jimmy Garoppolo back and healthy, and the Kyle Shanahan offense. We saw what they were able to do with George Kittle. Hopefully Jerick McKinnon is healthy. Even if not, Matt Breida showed that he could be productive. You put Antonio Brown in that mix, and suddenly that offense starts to take off. And look, I still think the division, the NFC West, belongs to the Rams. But, after that, it's kind of open a little bit. So, the 49ers could easily slide in, start competing for a playoff spot. I think that would be maybe not the final piece, but one big piece getting them closer to playoff contention.
I'd like to see. You can get me to say Giants or something if I could get them to cross Odell, obviously. But, that's not going to happen. I think the Niners would be a good fit for him. Yeah, I like that. He did go out just 4 days ago on his Instagram and post, the GOAT Jerry Rice talking about it. If you got a player like that you can go get, you really can, you got to get him. If you can add him to the offense, you got to go for it. So, if they can get him, personally, I think he's going to end up back with the Steelers. After all is said and done, I think they're still going to bring him back home.
Was it Jerry Rice in a 49er jersey or a Raider jersey?
Right. Yeah, the Niners.
And you know who's got enough cap space to sign him? My Colts.
They do. They're always trying to get somebody opposite that's stellar on the other end. They tried a couple times. Right now, you guys, got just Dontrell Inman to count on? Yeah, that'd be a superb upgrade.
Imagine him across from Ty, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Now, but I mean, I keep hearing that Le'Veon Bell is interested in the Colts, so maybe they're saving that cap room to bring Lev in as a free agent, maybe. And
they can sign both of them. They got enough money, man. They do.
They just locked up their O-line. I think we might get into that. Yeah.
Yep. I didn't put him in the show notes because he was a lineman, but he came in as a backup and was just unreal. He was so good. He was just as big a part of that offensive line's improvement as Quentin Nelson was.
Yeah, I think after week 6, I think they moved him over, and he just really took off and really solid for you guys to just lock that up.
Yeah, and which, with how well the offensive line plays and how well Marlon Mack was playing, basically the whole season when he was healthy, the Colts don't even need Le'Veon Bell. Now, granted, they could use him, but, they've got him and they've got 2 young, capable backups with Naheem and Wilkins. They don't need Le'Veon Bell. Well, I'd much rather him sign a wide receiver than have Chester Rogers as the number 2.
100%.
I did play Rodgers a couple weeks when T1 season, and it really paid off.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, the other receivers there, Chester Rogers was a guy that we were like really kind of waiting for big things from, and on a week-to-week basis, you could never necessarily count on it, but there were always weeks because people were focusing so much on T.Y. Hilton, and because Eric Ebron was having such a big year, that opened things up for some guys. Now, I think for the Colts' sake, and certainly for fantasy's sake, we'd like to find another guy over there who could be a little bit more consistent. But, I think Chester Rogers was that guy that we thought could take that next step forward. And maybe, who knows, maybe it happens next year if nobody comes in to take that spot. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly was one of those. I think Inman kind of surprised those. He was on my radar a little bit, but I think he surprised me a little bit. Well, not me. I think others.
All right, let's move on. Jimmy Kimsky of Philly Voice considers the Eagles to be a landing spot for Kareem Hunt. Of course, a Philly beat writer would say this. I think the Colts are also a landing spot for him. I think every place but Kansas City is a landing spot for him.
Man, I didn't hear much about the Colts, but this is the second time we're hearing about the Eagles, landing with him. So maybe there's some truth out there.
I'm saying if it says a landing spot, that's so vague.
Right.
Not like that's where he wants to be. It's a landing spot. Yeah, there's 31 teams that are a landing spot for him.
Yeah.
I actually, I would like Philly, one, because I think he fits well there. I think he can step in and sort of be what LaShawn McCoy had been before he left and went to Buffalo. So maybe he can fill that void. The other part of it is I just would like to see something concrete in that backfield. We've gone the last couple of years just cycling through guys. We thought maybe it would be Jay Ajayi for a while. Obviously that didn't quite work out this year. We had any number of guys coming through there, and it just, you could never get any sense of consistency. So I think, you bring a guy like Kareem Hunt in there, suddenly that makes things a little bit more consistent. We'll see what happens, how Carson Wentz comes back and what happens there. But man, look, I'm all about doing things that reduces the number of running back committees in the NFL, and getting Kareem Hunt pretty much anywhere, but especially in Philadelphia, takes away one more running back committee in this league.
You guys believe Kareem Hunt should be allowed back in?
Yeah, if he gives, if he gives the proper repentance, I think he tried once. I think he needs to continue. I think he needs to seek counseling, and we've seen players get a second chance. Why not him? So I think he will be back, but only when he does everything that he needs to do PR properly. If he skips any steps, we aren't going to see him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think we have seen guys be far worse actors and get back in the National Football League, and at least from what we saw early on, it certainly seemed like he was showing remorse. that he was trying to be better. I mean, remember, this was an incident that happened months prior to him being, suspended and eventually released. So, I think if he really does follow up on that, if he takes all the necessary steps, we know that this is a league that likes talent and that is a lot more forgiving to guys with talent. Kareem Hunt is young and talented, and so I think if he's able to kind of take those steps, then I think that forgiveness should be part of it, and that he'll get another shot in the league.
If Greg Hardy can come back after what he did,
yeah. I mean, Ray Lewis. I mean, we got Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon hasn't. We haven't looked at. There's no videotape of these. The videotape does it.
He served his suspension in college though, and so did Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. I guess you're right there.
Speaking of Greg Hardy, did you guys see that he got disqualified from an MMA fight last week?
Yes. I love that. I think his quote afterwards is something to the effect of, I don't want people's first thought of me to be as a cheater. And people were like, yeah, that's not the first thing we're going to think of when we think of Greg Hardy.
Your wishes are command, Greg. Don't you worry. All right, let's move on here. The Cardinals have re-signed Larry Fitzgerald to a 1-year contract, which I think is good. I don't think anyone wanted that to be Fitz's last season when it comes to performance-wise, especially, he was fine, but it was just the quarterback play. I think with a year and another offseason with Josh Rosen, Fitz is going to end on a really, really good note. How do you feel about that, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, I think he will. Look, this is a fun league when Larry Fitzgerald is in it. And it's nice, it's nice when he's playing well, when he's being productive. And hopefully with Cliff Kingsbury there, he can mentor Josh Rosen. He can draw up some plays and do something to just get this offense back on track, because it was miserable watching the Cardinals play offense this past year. And I think you're right. I don't think anybody wants to see Larry Fitzgerald go out that way. Sadly, that's sort of how most guys go out. Most guys tend to fizzle out as opposed to going out on a high note. So we'll see. But, I know last year we thought maybe, that 2018 was going to be the Larry Fitzgerald, victory lap, retirement tour, whatever you want to call it. I would be surprised if we see Larry Fitzgerald again. I mean, this is year 16 he's coming up on, year 16 or 17. Like, I can't imagine he's going to play much beyond this one. So hopefully it is. Hopefully he at least performance-wise goes out on a good note. I don't know that the Cardinals are going to make a lot of noise as a team, but at least he can play well, hopefully.
Did you say that Fitz is top 5 all time?
I mean, yeah, he's Larry Goat. I mean, yeah, I just don't think that he's going to get that last year out of Rosen. I mean, I know Cliff has been, associated with Mayfield and Mahomes, but I don't think he's turning Rosen to that. And I could be dead wrong, but at this point, I don't know. And he's going to be stat padding at this point at the tail end of his career than anything. But yes, he is a top 5 guy in my opinion.
I should patch in a friend of mine. I remember way back when Fitzgerald came out of Pitt and was in the draft. This is a good friend of mine who is a big Raiders fan, and the Raiders at the time were sort of in the market for a wide receiver. And this guy I know at the time said, we don't need Larry Fitzgerald. He's just a possession receiver. And so, like, every time Fitz would make plays and score touchdowns, especially in the Super Bowl, when he scores that long touchdown, it looks like the Cardinals might win the Super Bowl. We were all texting him like, man, this dude's a hell of a possession receiver. I'll tell you what.
For sure.
You see him on that possession? What about that possession? What about that possession?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of the greats. Well, I don't think even he wanted to go out with that as his last season. That might be a big motivator for why he's coming back. But we're certainly excited to have him back in there for one more season. Speaking of Super Bowls, you guys ready to talk about it?
Get it.
All right, Super Bowl 53. Let's get the evil team out of the way first. Patriots. Going out of order in the show notes here. Let's start off with some DFS talk here. So for those playing DFS, and I'm going to kick this one to you first, Deuce. James White has been awesome historically in his Super Bowl performances for fantasy scores. Sony Michel has been great this entire playoffs, got 5 touchdowns. Who would you take in that Rams defense? Is there one guy you like more than the other, or are you going to go with the cheaper guy?
Based off of Super Bowl performances, I think I'd go with James White. But the script could always be different. So yeah, I'd lean on White anyway.
What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm with Hoos. I think I stay with White just because he has been not just in the Super Bowls, but especially throughout the postseason. He's been such a big part of what the Patriots have done offensively. I mean, and I'll say this. Maybe it's because the Rams spent all year hearing about how bad their run defense has been. They've kicked it up a notch in the playoffs. Their run defense has been fantastic. I mean, they shut down Ezekiel Elliott. They kept Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara from running the football effectively during the NFC Championship game. They really have made it a point to try and stop the run. And so I think they're going to try and focus on that again, not letting Sony Michel get loose, because that's the way the Patriots grind the clock and keep your offense from having the football. So I expect that Sony Michel may have a little bit of a tougher time, but that just opens things up for James White, that short passing game. I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised if James White catches 12, 15 passes, because that's just the way the Patriots offense has operated so far in the playoffs.
That's the way Tom Brady's always played. 3 to 5 yard passes, 95% of his throws. I'm going to take every chance I can to talk bad about Tom Brady, by the way.
Yeah, the only thing that made me upset on Twitter, I saw this video of him talking about his dad, and I was like, damn you, Brady. I'm not supposed to like you. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but it was like he was just talking about, who's this hero, and he started to like tear up, and I was just like, oh man, like I'm supposed to hate you, Brady. Like you took a little less hate out of me.
Any video that paints Tom Brady in a positive light, I'm not gonna watch, but I'll buy into every single Patriots conspiracy theory.
Said like a true Patriots hater.
Absolutely. Yep, I'll own it. Oh yeah, for sure.
I own it as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, Marcus, do you have this deep-seated hatred towards Tom Brady like I do?
I'm just over it, man.
Right.
I'm over it. Like it's just, look, Tom Brady is he's like a robot. He's like a football playing robot sent here to destroy us. And so far, he's done a pretty good job of that. And so I don't know, maybe I get these attempts to sort of humanize him and have him talk about his family and that sort of thing. But I'm done. I'm over it with the Patriots. I'm not even a Rams fan per se, but for this week at least, the Rams are kind of America's team.
Yeah,
they're America's team this week. Because I don't know that anybody outside of the New England region really is cheering for the Patriots this week.
Louisiana. Louisiana is cheering for.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. After the Rams did,
just for one spiteful reason. Yep.
Yeah. And then you got the other LA fans. Chargers. So
the who?
The Chargers.
What?
The LA Chargers.
The what? The who? Here's the thing, I like the Chargers. They got a good club, and they are fun to watch, legitimately. But it's going to take a long time, if ever, for them to build up like a significant fan base here. I mean, I obviously having lived here for a number of years, I lived in LA. I was a college student when the Rams and Raiders left back in '95, and the Rams at least had history here. They had been here forever, and they had a fan base sort of built in here, so that when the Rams came back, there was some excitement about it. The Chargers announced they were coming to LA, and the general reaction was like, okay. That's just kind of how people. So
cool story, bro.
Right. Basically, and they're good. They are a good team, obviously, but they have no connection here. I mean, San Diego and LA kind of have a rivalry. Orange County is sandwiched in between, having its own little identity crisis. And it's just there's just no connection. People from San Diego, their hearts are broken, so they're not necessarily hanging on this team. And people from LA they just haven't.
Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing?
They play in a 27,000 seat soccer stadium that more often than not is dominated by the visiting team's fans, because there are a lot of football fans in Los Angeles. Don't get it twisted. There are a lot of football fans, but because people in LA come from other places, they're fans of whatever team that they grew up cheering for. That's just kind of how it is.
Who would you say like is the number one, I guess, California team? I guess we would say what, the Niners?
Gotta be.
Like California NFL team?
Yeah.
It's a toss-up. I would actually probably still lean toward the Raiders. The Raiders have a huge fan base. The Raiders, obviously they're, in the Bay Area, they're huge, but there's still a huge fan base in Los Angeles of Raiders fans as well. So it's probably neck and neck, but I'd give the Raiders the edge.
Yeah, we had Arthur Whittington. Yeah, we had him on the show, a little while back, and yeah, was passionate about the Raiders. Thought that they was going to do something a couple years ago. That didn't happen. Cards just doesn't seem like the guy. But I digress.
All right, guys, let's move to the Rams. So some coach speak here. Sean McVay said that Todd Gurley will be a big part of the Super Bowl plan, and everybody goes, no shit. Why wouldn't he be a big part of the Super Bowl plan? I mean, the guy is just amazing. But who else has been very good? And that CJ Anderson has been phenomenal for the Rams. Marcus, did he revitalize his career for free agency this season? Did he play his way into starting role money?
I don't know about starting role money, but he's going to be on a roster next year. And it's, it really is sort of weird that he never really caught on anywhere else. And maybe it's because, his salary was more than people wanted to take on. But I mean, this was a guy that was performing well even through his last season, really, in Denver when he was healthy, he was playing well. And you thought that he would have a role. A lot of people, myself included, thought he would have a big role in Carolina this year, just because I didn't think they were going to load up Christian McCaffrey with a ton of touches. I didn't think they would try and force McCaffrey to be a between the tackles runner. I thought that CJ Anderson was going to be that guy, sort of the thunder to McCaffrey's lightning, be the short yardage, be the goal line hammer, that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, they let him go. And obviously they gave McCaffrey a ton of work, and McCaffrey was great, in that role. So kudos to him for that. So then he goes to the Raiders, and that situation was always weird because they were relying sort of on Marshawn Lynch and Doug Martin for a while. So Anderson gets cut there, without even getting on the field in Oakland. So he just kind of sat around at home, which, hey, props to him. He and I are from the same hometown. So, shout out to Vallejo, California. But, it was just sort of weird that he never really got a look until it was sort of dire straits for the Rams. Todd Gurley gets hurt late in the season. They don't trust John Kelly or Malcolm Brown. And suddenly C.J. Anderson comes in there and reminds people of who he was. So, I'm curious to see where he lands, but I think he's going to get a lot of offers. Like I said, I don't know that he steps right in and becomes a full-time starter, but I think he's earned himself a lot of work somewhere next year.
Yeah, I actually thought that he was going to be somewhat valuable for fantasy when he signed in Carolina, because I didn't think Christian McCaffrey was going to get all the carries. But, man, we were wrong.
Yeah, it was just weird because I didn't think that Christian McCaffrey would hold up under that sort of thing, but again, he did. I still think, though, by the end of the year, I think that the Panthers were sort of looking for somebody to take a little bit of the load off of McCaffrey, and I would be surprised if they don't go out and try to get another running back who can just sort of take some carries and give him some rest.
I mean, what more can you say about C.J. Anderson? I mean, obviously, he provided great dividends for that team. I mean, I'm sure Dirty Jobs Mike wants to jump in and head wants to explode because he's doing things for this team that he, obviously you would have hoped that he did for the Broncos, but obviously he kept, getting injured. So that was the story with C.J. Anderson. If he can stay healthy, obviously he's exclaimed that fresh legs is the answer. So if he could stay healthy into, the following season, he's going to make a good a starting running back, but I don't know. I'd like to see him, possibly land on. I don't want to say like to see him, but I think it makes a good fit for him to land on the Redskins. Just because with guys coming back, I think you want to ease them back into a role and have a guy that you can still kind of depend on and know that you have a good role guy, because they always have these small, shiftier guys, who I love, but it's doesn't seem to work out for him year after year. So it might be a good role for him there.
Well, Sean McVay also promised that the Rams will not be trading Brandon Cooks, which is good to know. I mean, he's been very good wherever he's been, but he seems to really fit in really, really well with the Rams. Marcus, you gave us Cooper Kupp as a fantasy sleeper last season when you were on, I think, was it the preseason or was it even before that?
Yeah, it was a preseason, I believe.
Okay. Even though he missed a lot of the season, if you had to make an ADP call today, Marcus, where would he be drafted? Let's say PPR.
I would PPR. I would probably say 6th, 7th round, something like that. Look, he will have had almost a full calendar year, or close to it, to have gotten ready. I mean, we've seen guys come back relatively quickly from ACLs compared to years past. So I think by the time training camp and the preseason get underway, that he will be ready to go. So that won't be a big deal. But I think if there's one thing we learned, he and Jared Goff, they have a thing, man. And he was easily Goff's favorite target early in the season. He runs a lot of those routes out of the slot that we've seen Robert Woods take that role and do big things with it this year. But I expect that when Cooper Kupp is back, he'll go back to being that slot guy. Woods will go back to the outside. And I think that you're going to see Kupp go back to getting all those targets again. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that if he stays healthy all of next season, that he is in the neighborhood of 110, 120 targets by the time it's all said and done.
So if you had to choose an order, just talking about ADP draft season, would you say it's Cooks, Woods, Cooper, the order that they'll probably be drafted?
I actually think Robert Woods is going to get drafted really high. I think he may actually get overdrafted a little bit, and it hurts my heart to say that about a USC guy. But I think because Kupp coming back will sort of take some food off of his plate a little bit. But I think he's going to be the first one drafted. I think Cooks will go second. I think Kupp will end up going third, but I think he will end up being maybe the biggest bargain of those three.
So that you have Woods, Cooks, Cooper, or Woods, Cooks, Kupp. Who would you? What order do you think they'll finish in?
I think they will finish. I will go with. We're saying PPR here. Is that what we're thinking?
Let's go PPR.
Okay, PPR. I'm going to go Woods, Kupp, Cooks.
Okay. What about you?
Just because Cooks is not a guy he may get yards and he may score touchdowns. He's not going to get a ton of catches, as many catches, I think, as the other guys. I think those other guys will get more receptions. Cooks will sort of close the gap with his yards and maybe touchdowns.
All right, he's top 15 every year, though.
Yeah. He certainly is. I would have to say Kupp, I want to say, just because, I mean, we've seen him be a top 8 guy all year, up until when he got injured, in PPR leagues at least. And yeah, they do have that bromance, affair there. So I think if he could get healthy, and he's ready to go at the start of the season. Now, if he's missing games, I don't think he's going to finish the same. I actually anticipate him, not being able to play at the start of the season, even though. But that's just right now. I mean, obviously, we've seen guys get back, way in advance and have a great bounce back. Look at Hunter Henry. He went out there and started playing. But
wait, are you telling us that it's only January and things can change?
As we look into the future, things are ever changing. Yes.
I'm going to go with Cooks, Kupp, Woods. I do think Woods is going to be overdrafted.
Yeah.
So that all said, Marcus, how many Rams wide receivers are going to be ranked in your top 24 wide receivers next season going in?
Ooh, my top 24. I'm going to go with 2. I'll have Woods in there. And I probably will put Cooks in there. He may be sort of like, I won't say the back end of it, but he'll be in there. I think Kupp will just miss out on my top 24 receivers.
Yeah, at this point, I'm going to say all 3, just because that's what we've seen. We've seen, Goff sustain 3 receivers that were among the top 24 in PPR league last year while they were all healthy. But that's just at this point. So I would just go ahead and say that they're going to continue to reign on that way unless we see, Kupp obviously not be able to come back in a healthy fashion.
I'm going to say all 3 will be in my top 30 for sure, but probably 2 in the top 24.
It's fair.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
All right, let's talk Super Bowl prediction now. So, Marcus, you first. Who wins and what's the score?
So I don't know if I'm making this pick with my head or my heart, but I'm going to say the Rams win this thing. And I'm going to go, let's go 31-27 in a close one. I think, I don't know if this is the end of the Patriots dynasty. I have no idea, but if it is, I think it's fitting that it begins with a win over the Rams and potentially ends with a loss to the Rams.
So you said 31-27. This is probably going to come down to the final drive of the game. Is this the Rams stopping Brady or the Rams scoring on the Patriots in the final minute?
I think this is the Rams scoring on the Patriot. I think this answers the questions about Jared Goff. I think this sort of is the passing of the torch from Bill Belichick to Sean McVay. This is the new ushering in of the new guard in the NFL.
I like it. What about you, Hoos?
Man, it pains me to say Patriots. Patriots are going to win. Just because I think they're going to cheat this year. I don't think they cheated last year. They said, you know what, we're not going to cheat this year. We have what it takes. Bill Belichick said, I don't need it. We don't need it. But I think they're going to go back to the old drawing board. They're going to cheat a little bit. And we've seen the refs, pat these guys on the back many of times. We're going to see some foolery go down, and the Pats are going to win by a minimum score. I'd say, possibly in that 30 zone, 30-20 zone, for each play for each team. But yeah, they're going to get back to their old tricks.
Pats fans don't want to hear it, but they get so many calls and no calls when they're in Foxborough.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Well, ask Chiefs fans about that roughing the passer from the AFC Championship game.
I know, man. You can't even hit him in the chest when he has the ball. He barely even slapped him in the chest when he had the ball. The worst part about that game, though, is I already forget the guy's name, but who lined up offsides on the game-sealing interception. Ford, that's it. Oh, I was so pissed. So, Hoosh, did you give a final score?
Final score, I'm gonna go ahead and say 33-30. 33-30.
33-30. Come down to the final possession.
Come down to final possession.
I think
he's gonna miss the field goal.
Oh my God, that's what I have. You said this. You said the Rams are going to lose, though. You mean Zerline misses the field goal? Yeah.
Sorry, Zerline misses the field goal. Yeah, sorry.
That's what I'm saying on the opposite end. I'm taking 37-34 Rams. I think Gostkowski misses the game-tying field goal. That's what I'm calling.
Wow.
Yeah, but Greg Bellego. I mean, we're seeing some of the finest kickers in the league, ever.
Todd Gurley with at least 2 touchdowns. Zerline hits 3 field goals, including 2 from 50-plus yards. Gostkowski misses a chip shot.
Bing. Ooh. That's spicy.
I'm living in fantasy land over here, but you know what? That's what I hope happens. So 37-34 Rams. All right, let's do one last thing here, guys. Let's talk about the halftime show. We got Maroon 5, rapper Travis Scott, and Big Boy spelled with an I. Hoos, do you know who that is? Because I certainly do not.
Yeah, Big Boy from the Outkast. I mean, come on. He's from. How could they not bring Big Boy or Andre 3000 out? I'm sure they probably try to get Andre 3000 out, but this Super Bowl has been a little bit of political. We're not going to get into it, but Big Boy is obviously, he's a big part of Atlanta. So that's one of the big reasons why he's appropriately there. But yeah, it would have been nice to see his other half there, Andre 3000 of the Outkast.
Yeah, who knows, man? Andre might be living in a tree somewhere, like a tree house somewhere.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Yeah, who knows? It's funny because I feel like, obviously a large portion of the population knows Big Boy from Outkast. When they see him, like, oh, yeah, that's the guy from Outkast.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the dude from The Voice, right? Like, I couldn't tell you, and I think I own at least 2 Maroon 5 albums. I couldn't tell you,
Right.
I couldn't tell you the name of any of the other Marooners, right? Like they are like,
Right.
I know Adam Levine. I couldn't tell you any of the other dudes. I couldn't even tell you how many. I think there's 3 other dudes. I don't think there's actually 5 people in Maroon 5, right? Like I think there's only 4 guys, maybe. I don't know. I could be making this up, but I don't know any of their names. Like I can tell you the other 2 Black Eyed Peas. I can't tell you who else is in Maroon 5. Travis Scott is going to be the one that I think most of America is like,
Right.
who is this dude? Like, I didn't even know until 2 weeks ago that Travis Scott isn't actually his real name. Like, I thought that was his name. I thought he was one of those rappers like Kendrick Lamar who just uses his name. But no. His name is like Jacques Webster. I looked that up on Wikipedia.
What?
That's way cooler.
Right?
Jay Webb?
Webster.
Come on.
Your name's Jacques? That's
It was like
awesome
Jacques Webster. Right. I really thought his name was Travis Scott, and I was shocked to find out it's not.
Who is
All
Travis
right.
Scott then? Is that like a comic book figure or something? Or
No idea.
Okay. All right. I have to Google it after the pod.
All right. Last question I have for you guys regarding the Super Bowl. Hoos, I'll kick it to you first. Who are your top 3 halftime performances that you've seen?
Oh man, it's so many good ones. There really are so many good ones. But I'm gonna go with Michael Jackson, Prince. This is tough. This last one is Bruno Mars was really good. This last one is tough. Beyonce had a really good. Lady Gaga was really good.
Yeah, regardless of what you feel about the actual style of music, the last few halftime shows have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean Justin Timberlake was really good. You're surprised about how much songs you know when they're playing all this music. You're just like, oh shit, I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that.
Really, Coldplay's the only one in recent years that I haven't liked.
Yeah, U2 was great. Yeah, it's the last one is a toss up. I can't even choose, but definitely Michael Jackson. I think that was '93. And then Prince as well. I think that was 2008.
That was 2007, the year the Colts won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, who's kind of stole all my answers. Like I would say, from going from 3 to 1, 3 for me was Bruno Mars, because I was sort of indifferent to Bruno Mars. Like I didn't hate him, I didn't love him going into that, and I watched that Super Bowl halftime show, and I was like, wow, this dude is really good. Like that halftime show made me a fan of Bruno Mars. So that's number 3.
Yep.
Number 2 is Michael Jackson, because he was the first. That was the first like big time artist. Because before it was like college marching bands and stuff that would do it. Like it wasn't a big deal. So Michael Jackson was kind of the first one. I think that was at the Rose Bowl too. That one was. And then number 1 is Prince, just because, like, I mean, Prince was amazing. Still the best concerts I've ever been to were Prince concerts. And I just remember the story. In fact, because after he died, the NFL took the whole halftime show and put it back on the website, made it available for people again. And one of the stories was, because you remember that Super Bowl, it rained. It rained really hard.
For sure.
And I remember the story that somebody went to Prince right before halftime, and they're saying, he's like, hey, Prince, it's going to be raining during the show. What do you want us to do? And his response was, make it rain harder. Like only Prince could say that, and then just go out and just kill the show. Like on a rainy stage wearing high-heeled boots, right? Like only Prince could do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real concern that he was going to slip in those platforms that he was wearing, or even get electrocuted from playing guitar in the rain.
Right.
Yeah, man.
He just killed it,
Yeah, and that is my number 1. Partially because of the Colts won that year as well. But the whole performance, it's got to be Prince's number 1, and Bruno Mars was my number 2. Like he slayed that halftime show.
Yeah, it was hype.
You guys had both of my top 2 in your top 3, but I think I'm going to go with a surprise one here. Like I can't say Michael Jackson because I said ones that I've seen. I was 4 when that show happened, so I've seen the video of it, but I didn't see it live.
Right.
So I don't feel like I can say that one. But honestly, and it feels weird to say this because I don't know a ton of the music aside from what I hear in my wife's car when we're going somewhere. But Katy Perry's show was awesome.
Oh, okay. It was pretty good. I can't complain, but I mean, Katy Perry is a sight as well. I mean, so, but yeah, she's
100%.
She's something else. Oof, Katy Perry.
It's weird. So I would say this. And this is, a minor humble brag. I was actually at that game because that was the Malcolm Butler interception game.
Yes.
But our seats were in the end zone, and so we didn't really have a good angle on the show or anything like that. Like, she came out, I think, on a big mechanical lion or something like that. Because I think she started with Roar. From where we sat, I was like, is she on a giraffe? Like, I couldn't tell what it was she was riding. So it wasn't until after I got home and then I saw it again replayed on TV that I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of a fun show. But from where we sat, like, you just didn't get a good angle on it. So like the visuals weren't great.
That's awesome. But yeah, I think JT killed it too.
Yeah, he did for sure.
But yeah, they've been really good recently, and people I think are overlooking that. Oh, this person's playing, I'm not going to watch, but they've been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they're good overall shows. So
Yeah.
I mean, you got to tune in. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be another good one. Do you think Spongebob is going to make a Sweet Victory appearance? Because there's that petition out.
I did not know about this. No,
I don't know about
No.
this. I did not know.
Yeah, so SpongeBob's voice actor died in November.
Yeah.
Or not the
I
voice.
am aware about that.
the creator.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
voice, the creator. Yep.
Yeah, so there's been this petition to get him to sing Sweet Victory at the Super Bowl, which I'm looking at this online. In the season 2 episode where the song appears, SpongeBob performs a song with a marching band at the Bubble Bowl, his universe's equivalent of the Super Bowl.
Right.
I remember that episode, honestly.
Maroon 5 just tweeted out a Super Bowl themed hype video and SpongeBob was in it.
Uh-oh.
So do you think he makes a surprise appearance?
That would be
what? I don't know that they. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Levine sings a little bit of Sweet Victory, launches into some Sweet Victory, and maybe they put SpongeBob on the screen or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, where did they get the clearance from? I mean, that guy's dead, so it's like I remember they were trying to do the hologram for Prince and his estate were like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Yeah, so
but do a hologram for SpongeBob. I mean, he's not a real person.
Right,
SpongeBob hologram, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. He's been around for so long. He's just
True.
He's almost equivalent as like a prince to some people. Not obviously different. He's SpongeBob.
It's a different demographic.
The Aquatic Prince. Let's get that trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I think that's all we got time for today.
All right.
Cool.
Unfortunately, show seems like it's wrapping up. Is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss about Super Bowl weekend?
No, man. Just wish I was there. I wish I was there this year. I remember a couple years back, we were supposed to have this thing with Cardi B, but way before she blew up to be Cardi B.
It wasn't a couple years back. That was last year up here in Minnesota.
That's just last year?
Jeez. I was going to be on the list. Yeah, you're going to put me on the list.
She blew up so fast.
And then she backed out of the deal.
Yeah, her people were like, look, man, we're getting way too much money at this point. Like when we got her, it was she just had put out like Bodak Yellow and wasn't like as big as she was. But man, just a couple months later, she really went viral and just became a huge sensation.
Super Bowl weekend was amazing up here. I'm assuming it is in Atlanta as well.
I would assume it is. Yeah. No doubt. I'm just waiting for the week to be over, to be honest. I feel like just because, let's just play the game already. Like, there's a week of hype. Like, this is the week this is like the catch-up week for people who haven't watched football all year. Like, I always feel like this week should begin with a narrator saying previously on NFL, and then everybody who hasn't paid attention, this is like the recap. Like, with the rest of us who've been watching the show, this is when we go get a sandwich and something to drink, and then we'll come back when the game's on.
Yeah. Well, what are you doing for the Super Bowl? You watching at home, Super Bowl party? What you got going on?
Probably a small gathering of friends. This is where, maybe our pal Matt Harmon, we may get together, some friends and stuff like that, and just watch it somewhere. It won't be a big thing. It'll be a small gathering.
What about you, Hoos?
Yeah, probably similar. My sister just got into a nice house over in Parkland. So we'll probably just do it over there. She had like super size screen TV, so
that's awesome. Yeah, I'll probably watch it with some of the people from the brewery I work with. Go into the brewery, into the back room, get some food, get some beer. Should be a good time.
Sounds awesome as well.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, a huge thank you to Marcas Grant for being on the show today. Marcus, why don't you tell our wonderful listeners again where they can find you, follow you, and support you?
Best place is on Twitter. It's at Marcus G, MarCasG. You can find me there. You can go to Facebook. I'm not there quite as much as I used to be, but every now and then I will post there. And then check out our podcast. We in the off season we're down to once a week, so we release on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, wherever, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you download fine podcasts, you can also find ours, which I don't know if it counts as fine, but it is a podcast. So check us out.
Yeah, what's the name?
It is the NFL Fantasy Live podcast.
All right. There you guys go. Well, yeah. Marcus, thanks again for being on the show, man. It was great to have you on.
Hey, I appreciate coming on anytime.
And you guys can follow us on Twitter at Sleeper Show. Hoos is at Hoos the Prophet. I am Prof_Chris SW. Follow us on the Sleeper app, Prophet Hoos and Professor Chris. And then Instagram at Hoos the Prophet and Professor Chris SW. Hoos, Marcus, thanks for joining us. Everybody else, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Take care, guys.
Gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this? Guys, welcome to the introduction to the Fantasy Football University. It's going to be a little bit of a different show. I got my co-host from Break from the Grind, George Geo Reed, and I got our buddy Mike Dirty Jobs from the Sleeper Wire Show. We're going to be doing a beginner's fantasy football podcast. There's all kinds of podcasts out there for those of you that know what you're doing. You know them, I know them. We listen to them every day. What there isn't is a show for the people who have no idea what's going on. Do you have that person in your league that draft a kicker early or think defense in fantasy football wins championships? This is a show for him or her. Guys, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you think this show is going to be?
Okay, so first off and foremost, we're going to be taking a new person, somebody completely new to the game, has somewhat of an understanding of football, somewhat of an understanding of how the game is played, and has heard of fantasy football but has never actually taken part in fantasy football. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn around and we're going to turn them into a champion. We're going to take them from step one, the draft, to all the way through to the end. But first, we're going to get her ready. We're going to get everything going where she's prepared for that very first draft, where she has a strategy going into it. It's going to be neat because we're going to be learning this all over again, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, we're all in those leagues where there's that one or two people who, like Mike mentioned, they follow football, but they've never really done fantasy football. This is the show for them. We'll get into some metrics, but we're not going to get into like way advanced metrics. That's not us. That's not what we want to do for this particular show. We're not going to break down, the Monday night games, the Sunday day the games. Thursday games. We're not going to break those down. That's other shows on the Sleeper Wire Network. We are strictly focused on those beginners who, like Jason mentioned, they feel they need to fill out their entire roster before they focus on their bench. They think that because the quarterback scores the most points, that's who they need to draft in the first round or the second round or the third round. We're here to guide that type of person, that type of individual to a fantasy championship. And like Mike mentioned, we've got a young lady who's going to be coming on. She's going to be with us. She's never played fantasy football before. She follows, football a little bit, but she's never done the fantasy stuff before. We're going to take her from a novice to a championship. That is the goal. We're going to run her through the Fantasy Football University and make her a champion.
So we've got lesson plans, we've got quizzes, we've got tests, but you know what else we have? Because we're members of the Sleeper Wire network, we've got Mock Metal Mondays, where you guys will be able to teach her during the mocks. You guys can be part of her education.
Everybody needs classmates.
Yeah, Sleeper Wire has now become a big old classroom where everybody, and listen, class sizes, it's up to you. We've got Mail Sack, we've got Sunday Morning Blitz, we've got all the Sleeper Wire shows to help her out, and she's going to be part of a pro-am. So when she goes through the university, her second semester is during the season, and we're going to get her a championship against some of the pros.
And we're even going to sneak her into a couple of her own home leagues. People unsuspecting, not knowing anything. Here's this girl that comes in out of nowhere with just draft strategy after draft strategy, bailouts. I mean, we're talking everything you need to know to get you through these drafts. And then she's going to just go in there. And if it's a lax league where you don't have a lot of people paying attention, it's going to be complete domination. So, very exciting stuff ahead. Very exciting stuff.
So, guys, this is coming in the off season. If you want to reach out to us on Twitter, we're at @FF_University. If you want to catch us on our Gmail, it's fantasyfootballuniversity@gmail.com. And soon to have a website, Fantasy Football University. Enjoy a short fantasy football break. Class will be in session soon. And go FFU.